down, what was it, 20-10 at the end of the first quarter. It could have been much, much worse. And they needed every ounce of energy and everything to get to the finish line, and they barely hung on. They finally took the lead. They actually took the lead by halftime, but they needed every ounce of energy and everything else, every point to hold on to beat Slovenia. So they're looking for a much improved performance. Well, good evening, folks. The first game of the evening just turned 6 o'clock here in Belgrade of this FIBA Women's Eurobasket 2019. It's France against Belgium, and Gruda takes it down low and goes right at Linskens. A lot of very confident move there.
And good job by Gruda. I mean, Linskens, that's a tough matchup for her, but she played good defense. It was just a better shot by Gruda.
Alamand putting up her dribble. Good D by France, making life difficult here for Belgium. Messamon makes the pass, and they stay patient, and Mesdag missed the layup.
And how many layups did we see them miss 2 nights ago?
And then immediately they are punished as Yayi drills a three-pointer. Who knows? Could be headed for another French-Spanish title showdown. Linskens. Of course, Serbia will have something to say about that. The ball goes off to Linskens, and that slow start that we saw the other night for Belgium, it looks like they're about to have the same slow start tonight. I don't think they'll recover if they do. They fall into a big hole here against this talented and experienced French team. And also a French team now that has the exciting Bria Hartley who has the ball in his 18 bounce pass. And really will go to the line. So really could not have started any worse for this Belgian team. And what's really interesting, I think at some point, you can see at the bottom of the screen some white shirts filing in. That is the Great Britain's women team. They will face the winner of this game in the semifinals, and they are getting excellent seats. They usually sit in the player section, but maybe they are going to go to the player section. Oh yeah, I thought they were going to get two good
VIP
seats.
passes.
Yeah, Alamand drives in and draws the foul. So just as happened the other night, it's Alamand to the rescue.
You know, Slovenia's defensive scouting plan was, you know what, let's make Alamand beat us. And
she did.
She did. Plain and simple, she did.
Well, they kind of beat themselves as well.
Yes, but you know, they forced her to shoot. They kind of bet on her not making them. You saw a little bit of hesitation at certain points in the game, but I mean, she finished with 25 points.
Well, that's better. Well, I was going to say Linskin's getting an offensive rebound, but in the end she did because Meehan came in. And now Bria Hartley, who quite clearly brings a different dimension to this French team. The ball goes out of bounds, but a foul has been called in Belgium. Velad guilty of the foul. Yayi on the baseline, whips it back out to Hartley, who played at the University of Connecticut for Gino Auriemma. And then she ran in and traveled after bumping into her teammate, Gruda. Were you surprised the naturalization of Hartley?
A little bit, knowing a lot of living in France for 7 years now.
And now the turnover by Messamon. Yayi goes in and scores with the left hand. Mistakes are punished.
And I said, you know what, France should play fast because they have such a deep bench, and I question how fatigued this Belgium team is. So that's what we've seen early from them, and I like it. I like the way France is playing. Why not? You know, they're scoring 77, just under 78 points a game, which is, that's a lot of points, especially for a France team. It's not, you know, usually French basketball, they play a little bit slower.
Well, that was a little bit better from Belgium, forcing a turnover and then an unforced turnover. Alamand thinking Delar was going to come in, and instead was popping out. Look at this. And
those are the kind of turnovers that, you know, we haven't seen Belgium commit in the last 2 summers. It's like they're just not as in sync as they were, especially last year.
Gruda with the shot clock winding down, and Messamon steps over in front of Gruda, forced the turnover. In the pass to Messamon, and finally an easy one and a field goal. 3 to Hartley. Oh, double dribble. She thought she had lost control of it, I guess, and thought she could dribble again. Look at this. So here she is. So, yeah, she's dribbling. She picks it up. She had possession. Then she started to dribble again. Alamon drives right down the lane, hands it off much better, but the block by Ayayi. The length of Ayayi. Now Epupa turns it over, and that leads to a fast break opportunity for Alamon, who's not going to be caught by Gruda. And a little bit of a crazy game unfolding here before us with some mistakes.
Both these teams are punishing each other when they make mistakes. Here you see fast break points, 5 for France, 4 for Belgium.
Gruda, silky smooth.
How many times have we seen that move by her during her illustrious career? I mean, there are some really women's basketball stars in this tournament.
And good defense from Hartley. And Linskin's just a step slow there, and Hartley faked. She paused, and then she went to the basket. And Mestag has seen enough. He is going to call timeout. So with 5:18 remaining in the game, the teams retreat to the benches. And I think it would be good as we look at this block by Ayayi to go to the benches and listen in.
And you're in number 0, please open up your stance a moment here. This one is coming into the ball. All right, come on guys, 31, eh? Hey, we go fluid now. And offense. Defense, we do just same, but we just need to be a little bit tougher in the one-on-one. Okay, we go in and come down. Okay? So, let's work.
See the field goal shooting in France's favor.
One.
Seems to be more of a sense of purpose about this France team. Ayayi obviously blossoming, as you said, the early women Final Four. I mean, if you make it to the Final Four and you're a leading player from one of your teams, that pretty much says it all, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Ayayi with USK Praha, she had one of her best seasons professionally, and she was a big part of that team that made it to the Final Four, like you said. And that's why I think it's her year to step up and lead this team and be a scorer.
Wow, Messamon got it to Alamon, and she missed the layup. And Coach Mestag, Philippe Mestag, might have a few more gray hairs by the end of the night. The way this is going, this team trailing 13-5. Good hustle by Alamon. And it'll be Belgian basketball. And the rule is that Pupa kicked the ball, which you're not allowed to do, obviously. You're not in this round ball sport. Mestag launches a 3. With Mestag, I think they're going to have to live with her or die with her, really. Here's Bria Hartley. Good! And that right there is a microcosm of the way this game is going. A 6-point swing.
And another turnover by Belgium. Just really, I think you see Kim Mestag and Julie Allemund are coming out, and Caprio and Van Loo are coming in. I think Coach Mestag is more upset with Kim, his daughter, on that last defensive play because she tried to cheat, and Bria Hartley was just smart. Bria Hartley's a shooter, and with shooters you have to follow them and use the screen exactly the way that they use the screen.
Miem missed from deep. And now Caprio is called for a push down on the boards. Watch her boxing out. Oh, she held a pupa. That's what it was. So, pupa bounce pass to Mia. And now Caprio again. They're getting tangled up in there. Has to be careful she doesn't get enough sportsmanlike.
Yeah, and you know, those who know her, she is very feisty. But, I mean, she's small. She's the smallest player out there, her and Ipupa. You have to play a certain way to be competitive and to make it at this level.
And she's clearly not at her best, having been injured for the latter part of the season. And another turnover. Turnovers becoming a problem for Belgium. Charteroux, three-pointer, and France with the wind in their sails here early, a 14-point advantage.
And really, it's the pace that they're playing at, and that's what they need to play with. And like I said, they have such a deep bench. Go, attack. Try and put Belgium away, and then you have a beautiful turnaround by one of the best players in the world.
Messamon. Pupa drives in, scores. Everything looks easy right now for France. Pass to Messamon, and she was bumped by Miem, so a couple of free throws. That was better for Belgium. First one is good for Messamon. Again, they trailed Slovenia, early on, and really looked like they were going to crash out in that game, and they were able to come back. But France, obviously different opposition, especially just look at it in the world rankings perspective. France, number 4 in the FIBA world ranking, presented by Nike, and Belgium are number 16.
And keep in mind, those world rankings are also based on your youth level.
Well, it's more of like a 6-year cycle.
Yeah.
And the drive is good. So you get so many points for playing at the FIBA World Championships for women, or the FIBA Women's Basketball World Cup, the Olympic basketball tournaments for women, and then for the zone championships. And then say if you win or you get a medal, you get more points. You get more points if you finish 5th and 9th.
So I do think we'll see Belgium's ranking go up in the next cycle, like you said.
Van Loo off the back of the iron. Hartley back in, brings it up. Also Raman in for Belgium. And Charteroux misses the layup. And just like we said for Slovenia, this game could already be a 20-point deficit easily for Belgium. And now a break as Mestag gets fouled while attempting a three-pointer. Boy, what was Charteroux doing there?
She just didn't stop.
Mestag needs something, anything, to get her going. As we get that viewpoint from the spider cam. Now it's a different angle.
And yeah, you know, you mentioned that Belgium did get down against Slovenia, and then they made a little bit of a run late in the first quarter, but they were down 10 points. And they came back and won that game. So they have crawled back and won games before, but it's incredibly tiring to do that as well. And sometimes, you know, the clock becomes your enemy.
Ayayi, quick three-pointer. So that probably helps. And sure enough, Rahman goes in, and hasn't she played well at this Eurobasket? She's been terrific. And just like that, they cut the 15-point deficit to 10. And Valerie Garnier decides to call timeout. Look at this again. And it all started with Charteroux's foul on Mestag attempting the three-pointer.
Yeah, and then,
the
you know,
quick three attempt by Ayayi.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it was a quick three attempt from Ayayi.
Et il n'y a pas hésité, Mestag elle est là, on s'en fout de qui est à l'intérieur. Notamment, vous étiez deux grandes joueuses, donc c'était pas gênant. D'accord? Ici,
France,
on se repose
10
en
points
attaque
in the
s'il y a
paint,
besoin.
Belgium
On
6.
pour passer la ligne, mais après on se repose. D'accord? Il y a un geste pour Marine ici. Geste pour Marine. D'accord? Défense. Tu promets.
And it's meestal one of the bigs. This is one of the bigs. All right, push them to the side. And as we go back, we go back. Right? Don't take risks right now. And the press.
9
just
fast break
control
points.
after
That's
the
unusual,
zone.
isn't it?
Come on, one.
Being down 10 points, but he's got 9 of them on fast breaks.
But you know what? A few of those just came recently in the last couple minutes, though. France had five fast break points in the first 2 minutes of the game.
Johannes, who, when she's playing well, she is exciting to watch. Here she is, after Bria Hartley. And coming right out of the timeout.
But really, right now, France have all 5 of their players can shoot threes. So going into a zone is kind of risky when, I mean, Badian, you see guarding Rahman there. Good defense by Bria Hartley to force the turnover and get the steal. And look at that.
Badian misses a layup.
For me, Badian, she hasn't played a whole lot in this tournament, but in all of the lead-up games and the friendly games, she was the best player and the most consistent player for France.
And Waters goes up against Charteroux, and that was good. I'll tell you what, ever since she came back in for the second spell of the last game against Slovenia, she's been a different player. It's kind of like she just kind of reminded herself of how she needed to play for this Belgian team. Here's Bria Hartley. And that is it at the end of the quarter. It was not all France, but it was mostly France. They lead at 27-16.
And we'll get a quick look at stats at the end of the first. Really a game of runs. France almost looked like they were going to